Anybody who says bear baiting is easy and no challenge and unfair, they ought to drag this stuff out into the bush sometime. Drag barrels through all this thickness here to get to these spots, and then come back every other day with 30 pounds of food and lug it in here and refill your barrel. We're going to talk a little bit more about that too. But anyways, so there's the barrel. I've welded on this little piece of rebar. If I stand the barrel up like this, oops, there you go. If I stand the barrel up like this, I can attach that rebar to a tree with a chain or something, so that partly it can't get dragged away and partly it'll stand up, won't tip over. What I'm going to do here is lay it down on its side, so that will be on the ground, and it'll just keep the barrel tipped slightly, so that stuff just doesn't spill out a little bit. Helps. It's my story and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so that's a combination of bear pancakes that I make up. Just pancakes. I know a lot of people know I bait, so they'll save stuff for me. So sometimes they'll have berries or whatever that have been in the freezer a long time, a bit freezer burnt. They give them to me, so I just make it all up into a mash, or I'll make pancakes with the berries in it. Then I'll take about a gallon of fryer oil, or grease as they call it, most Americans. But basically I like to get it from one of the fried chicken companies, Kentucky Fried Chicken, anybody, doesn't matter, because it's pre-scented and pre-flavored. So that's pretty attractive to them. And just dump it in, soak everything with it. Almost the more oil they've got, the more they'll just lap that up like it's soup. These are jars of preserves that people give me. Jam, this was rhubarb jam. It's dated from June of 2011, so I guess the people just didn't want to keep it anymore, and they know that I bait, as I said, so they give it to me. And hey, bears have a huge, major sweet tooth. I think if you could get a barrel full of scooter pies and Twinkies, you'd have it made. Anyways, I'm gonna just have to pry that out of there, but I've got 2 or 3 jars of that with me, and a bit of peanut butter, old peanut butter and stuff, so I'm just going to put that in there. Okay, that's good. Just camouflage it a little bit. The chances of anybody coming down the well, I can't even call it a trail, that mess of a ride we had in here, the odds of anybody coming in here are almost nil. I've never actually seen anybody in here, or even their tracks, but I make these steel boxes. I just weld them up out of whatever metal I've got. Lag bolt them to the tree with one good, maybe 2-inch lag bolt, and then I put my trail cameras in here, and this keeps the bears. Well, I put a padlock on it, so it keeps people from, if they did find it, from stealing it. They can't, when the lid is closed, they can't get to the lag bolt, so they can't take it off the tree. And of course the padlock keeps you from opening the lid. So it gives some security to the camera, but bears seem to like to chew on these things as well. It's awkward today because I'm just bringing everything in and setting it up, and I didn't want to waste the camera taking pictures of that for half an hour. Normally, I don't want the scent of the bait food on my fingers when I come and check the camera, switch the SD cards. So it's a little backwards today, but sometimes the bears will smell that and come, and that'll attract them to the camera. So you just want to protect it a bit. So I'll turn it on and lock it there in a couple of minutes. So what I do, again, just this barrel actually used to be attached to that tree right over there. I haven't hunted this spot. I've hunted it a few times. It's always produced, but I haven't hunted it for a couple years. Just give it a rest. This tree didn't used to be broken down right here, so that's sort of changed things around. But a little bit of peanut butter to smear around. what I usually do is I'll take these pieces of wood after I've got the bait in the barrel, and I'll just put them in the edge. Yeah, let's just get them out of my way for a second here. There. And I'll just start to fill up the end of the barrel. Now believe me, there's not a bear anywhere that can't move stuff like this with his tiniest little finger tips. So it's not a deterrent, but now we don't have raccoons or anything here, so they're not really a problem anyways. But this kind of thing keeps the ravens, which are like big crows for any of those of you who don't have ravens around. They're very strong, they're very smart, and they will get in and they'll clean up your bait, believe it or not, just as bad as a raccoon would. So I like to sort of block this off. And like I said, the bears, when they come here, they just flip this, they flip this out of the way in half the length of time it takes me to put it in. But that's okay, that's what it's for. That's the whole point. The other thing too that makes this kind of handy is that when I come in here, I can stay back probably, I've got a little spot where I can just peek through the brush, so I can stay back about 20 yards, well, okay, 15 yards or something, and I can see the bait from back there. What that does is it saves me, if the bait's been hit, then I can see that these have all been pulled out and the end of the barrel will be open. If it's not, then I know the bait is still in there, hasn't been touched, and so then I don't have to come in here and leave fresh scent and just disturb the whole place. So it's just kind of handy that way as well. Anyway, there we go. All right, so that's the bait set, and the barrel is black, so you really can't see it too. And actually, this tree might actually help a little bit with camouflaging it. But anyways, now what I have in here, same bucket, is I have the same fryer grease that came from the chicken shop. Just get the last of the grain out of there. I put some secret sauce in here to make it smell good. So I'm just going to dump it right here, all around the front here. Whoops. Out of my chain. I'm going to chain that barrel so that the bears will step in it. And I'm going to take a little bit and I'm going to work it out to that opening there. And that stuff smells really good, really strong. And the bears will smell that, and that will help them come in and find the bait site. Now, what we'll do here also, we'll take a little bit of peanut butter and a small stick. Now, what I like to do sometimes, actually this isn't going to be good because the trail camera won't see this, but what I do is I sometimes will stick this on a tree. I have to bring a second camera in here. And I'll stick it on the tree about 5 feet high, about head high for me. And what that does, since bears are about, a big bear, a good sized bear, will be about 3 feet at the shoulder. So for him to reach up and get this peanut butter out of the tree, he's got to stand up on his hind legs and reach up to get it. And when they do that, that gives you a real good look. Just another way to help determine whether it's a sow or a boar that you've got here, because you don't want to shoot the sows. Whether or not they have cubs with them, you still don't want to shoot the sows. It happens, but fortunately I've never done it. Hopefully I don't ever, but I'm pretty careful about stuff like that. So that's it. Basically the bait is set. I just have to get out of here. Now I will come back. I'll leave it probably for 48 hours roughly. So it's today's Wednesday, so I'm going to come out probably Thursday, Friday. I can't Friday, I've got things to do. I'm probably going to come out here on Saturday and just check it. And like I said, I can see from a ways back there whether that's been disturbed. And that will let me know well, if the bait's gone. if it is, that's the good news. That's what we want. All right, I'm just going to get my stuff together and pack it on out of here. Now here are the pancakes that I make. Just pancakes. I tend to, I mean, you could eat these, there's nothing wrong with them. Except that since most animals like to have a salt or a mineral lick or something, I tend to add a little extra salt to these things. Just hopefully to make it a little bit more attractive to them. So I probably wouldn't eat them simply because I've kind of overpowered them with a bit of a salty flavor. Now you don't want to do too much of that. I mean, they are animals, they can only take so much. They will lick directly off a salt lick or a mineral block, as you know, but still, let's make it, and you don't have to put a ton of peanut butter on it either. Bears have an amazing sense of smell, unbelievable. They actually have, they taste the scent as well. And by that I mean they have an extra organ in the roof of their mouth called the Jacobson organ. And they can actually taste scents through that, Jacobson organ that they have in their mouth. Oops, got you twisted off to the floor there. So bears have a pretty outstanding sense of smell. And don't think for a second, I heard a lot of people say bears have poor eyesight. Don't you believe that for a second. They may have less quality or less, strength in their eyesight than, say, perhaps a deer or something like that. But they are by no means poor in sight. They can see every bit as well as you and I can, which is a whole lot less than maybe some of the other wild animals around there, pronghorns especially, things like that, which don't happen to be around here. But don't think for a second that they have the bad eyesight. I was sitting in a stand one time, almost 20 yards away from a bait, and suddenly the bear looked right at me, stared me down. And I was holding the camera, and I had moved slightly, just my hand, and the little lens cap was held to the camera by one of those little lanyards about 3 inches long, just so your lens cap didn't fall off. And it was swinging a little bit. And the bear saw that from nearly 20 yards away. So don't think they can't see well. That's a myth. You'll get yourself, a surprise if you sort of bank on that at all. Anyways, I'm going to finish this, and then it's time to go out and reset the bait. The other thing that I do with all my baits, whatever the kind is that I like to put it in there in relatively small pieces. That's why things like small donuts and cookies are great. The reason for that is that if it's in great big chunks, a great big chunk of meat or a whole loaf of bread, for example, even if you've got some good flavor drizzled all over that loaf, you want the bears to stay at the bait site eating. You don't want them to grab a chunk. They'll go off into the bush to eat it. So they'll grab a big piece and they'll take it off and they'll be gone for 15 minutes while they eat that. Then they'll come back for another chunk. So that means that they're only at the bait site for moments while they grab another piece and then they wander off again. You don't want that. You want them to be at the bait as long as possible so that you have the best opportunity to judge the bear, whether it's a male or a female, so on and so forth, and also to get the best shot. So keep the pieces small. Don't let the bears grab a chunk and leave and come back. Make them stay there and eat the little bits and bites. Okay, here we go. Well, something's been rooting around in here. All right. There we are. Yeah, something's definitely been rooting around in here. Not everything is taken, but we'll reload it real good. And we'll pull the camera SD card right here, take it with us. I just replace it with another card for now. And then I can take it home and download whatever's on it. So I'll get to doing that. My bucket full of pancakes. Well, I'll put those in last. I'll get some oil. We'll use some oil on it too. These crackers are pretty stale, so we're just gonna shake a few of them around here. Take our garbage with us, and that'll be that. Let's reload. Fill up real good. Good and full. Okay, job done. Well, we'll go home, have a look at our SD card, and see what we got. Cross our fingers that something will be there. I'll just reset the camera and I'll be gone.